That's a huge bitch!
Hello everybody and welcome to Staring At for Dragon Ball Super 105, the one where not even the power of anime titties can resist Master Roshi's giant throbbing power level. This episode is probably one of my favorites so far, and that there's nothing in here that can get fucked up by Toei's absolutely shitty decision making when it comes to Goku and other similar banner characters. And in fact, it's really one of the few times in this arc where we've seen what I like to see as the real Goku. The Goku that actually cares for more than just punching people he's never met, and actually has proper human contact with the people he's known since he was a tiny child. There's 3 fights in this episode, with 2 of them going extremely fast, and they were handled exceptionally well, and showed the 3 types of fighters that are left in the tournament. People that got super lucky but are completely outpaced if they actually get into a fight, people that might as well be cheating due to bullshit abilities, and people that are actually a threat, even up to the Goku level. It was nice to see a little sampler platter of what's still on offer, and it's made even better by the fact that Roshi was the one to serve it to us. Something that I think is a real strength of this episode is how it jumps between each of the 3 tones of Dragon Ball that I enjoy the most. As much people want to look at Dragon Ball and say, oh, it's just that anime where people scream and punch each other a lot. There's quite a diversity of tones throughout the series. You have the light-hearted, comedic sort of fighting tone that was prevalent in OG Dragon Ball, where the fights could be won purely through gags. The spooktastic, dark colors and ominous music we got at certain points throughout Z, when things started to really hit the fan and Goku was out of the picture or dead again. And then we finally get the triumphant fight that's more in line with the current tone Super likes to stick with, complete with a really touching emotional moment at the end. See what happens when you go too light on the Goku? You actually get an endearing episode or 2. Our episode starts with Master Roshi wandering through the rubble, wondering what everyone's up to and considering his weight and the pulling thereof. Then, of course, surprise! Tiny girl with massive hammer, who, of course, misses completely. Now I'm gonna ask this once, and only once, because it's the only real issue with characterization in this episode. Why does everyone assume that Roshi's gonna be an easy target? Sure, the dude is 300 years old, and he's scrawny in his base form, and he has a big old grandpa beard. If you looked at him on the street, you'd think, yeah, he's an old bag of bones, I could knock him over by breathing heavily. Except, we're not on the street, we're almost 15 minutes into a tournament for the very survival of multiple universes, and this team of 2 guys that control God Ki, 2 killbots, a guy that has literally opened his 3rd eye, a midget that throws laser buzzsaws, and a guy that's been effortlessly jobbing out fighters left and right since the tournament start, just has an old man for the team. A team of literal monsters, and you think they just let an old man tag along for giggles? It's like when the Yakuza showed up on The Simpsons.
Marge, that little guy hasn't done anything yet. Look at him. He's gonna do something, and you know it's gonna be good.
I know it's a trope in anime, but for all the times that Dragon Ball has done it, it's kind of getting old at this point. Especially when everyone keeps repeating it in this episode alone. Each one of the fighters that Yoshi takes out in this episode keeps going on about he's old and needs to retire and shouldn't be here and out of his debts, etc, 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 right before he bloody annihilates them. The girl makes more energy weapons, can't even lay a hit on Roshi, then turns to the power of anime titties. It was at this point where the episode hit a tipping point for me, and the way it got handled was absolutely perfect. Roshi's defining factor is that he's a giant pervert. Show him some titties and he's off to the races. The thing is, however, that they made a big deal of him suppressing his urges. They played on it a little with the Maguka, but they weren't even all that hot. They even acknowledged that in the episode. But this chick? Damn, son, if nobody's applied the rules of the internet by the time I'm editing this, then I will be surely disappointed. Thankfully, Roshi is still Roshi, and reacts how you'd expect. It almost backfires on him, but thanks to that training, he's still aware enough to dodge her counterattack. Pre-suppression Roshi would have been skewered, I'm sure of it. Roshi gives a speech about his training and explains how his pent-up sexual frustration makes him stronger, and then the girl decides to self-elims when she realizes, wait a minute, this guy's super pent up, I'm a virgin, and need to be won for marriage. Obviously, she comes from the Saudi Arabian planet in Universe 4. And just so you don't think I'm skimming for time, she's literally eliminated by a subtle rape threat. Never change, Master Roshi. You're a terrible role model, but we love you for it. Our next fighter, Dorkori, is a little bit more of a challenge. She's a spooky fish lady that uses illusions that are literally called genjutsu. All we need now is some Hyuga clan members in here and we have a party. She locks Roshi in like a nightmare illusion world and starts chasing him around the arena. I honestly want to know what this looked like from the outside, especially when she turns into a giant version of herself and climbs up the central pole. This also brings a small problem with the rules. Fighters cannot use weapons or healing items, which we can just assume means no outside help. If that's the case, then what do these talismans count as? Kitela claims that they're made from her energy, but are they really? They certainly look like a solid object to me, and why explicitly call them talismans if they're just energy she can apply to an area? When Roshi uses the Mafuba to store her in a jar and toss her off the edge, the Omni Kings claim that that's fine. Why is it explicitly weapons? Does that mean I can't bring a gun? If I can murder someone easily with a dragon dildo, then are dragon dildos weapons? Apparently not. Regardless, Roshi tosses her off the edge, and we get the next sacrifice to Blood God Roshi. Harvey Birdman, attorney at law. Alright, so this guy Ganos has one of the weirdest gimmicks I've seen in a hot minute. Every time he fights, he starts off at his base power level, then slowly levels up into a big, dumb Super Saiyan bird. This is good because it gives Roshi a self-admitted lower power level character compared to the likes of Goku. A threat to defeat that is actually someone Goku could potentially have trouble with if not stopped early. But it's also bad because that's hyper-specific power that only really works in this story setting. And also his power seems to reset to normal if he doesn't fight. So for this guy to be a problem, you'd have had to have known to bum rush Goku immediately after icing Roshi, and I doubt that he would have thought to do that. He's like the Dragon Ball equivalent of Symmetra from Overwatch. Let her beam build up and she'll melt everyone, but cap her early and she's useless. This is especially applicable as Bird Person's base form seems to be somehow less powerful than Roshi's own base form. Roshi tells Ganos that his fighting style is sloppy and that even as he gets stronger he still follows the same patterns, but if he was stronger than Roshi, it'd be fair to say that he'd be fast enough to beat it, right? I mean, if you're faster than a guy can dodge, it doesn't matter if he knows it's coming. Eventually he does get a lucky hit in and he starts kicking Roshi's teeth in, but only after a whole lot of time where Roshi wasn't pushing his clear advantage. One thing I really like is how Roshi indirectly caused Daffy Duck's downfall fairly early in the fight. Roshi breaks out the Sleepy Boy technique, something we haven't really seen since he appeared as Jackie Chun way back in the day, and it almost works. Roshi, however, doesn't expect Ganos to stab himself with lightning. This is something that I thought was really cool, as he really establishes that even though he's now working with a power disadvantage, he brought Ganos into an almost unwinnable situation. And even though he gets his ass beat, and even if he does get ringed out, Ganos won't be far behind. During this, we get little cuts to Goku being held by a goo monster ripped straight from the archives of E621, watching his sensei get beat to shit by Birdemic. And in the back of my mind, I was counting down the moments until Goku just instant transmissioned in and ruined everything. Again. Yet, this moment never came. Roshi beats back Ganos, both of them are barely able to stand, and admits claims that he's just an old man, his time has passed, he needs to retire. Roshi tells us, the audience, something. The lesson taught by his students. Even though he's old, he's got much more to learn. He can't give up now, and he won't. Then he uses the original gangsta Kamehameha to wombo combo Falco Lombardi off the edge. And then he dies. We actually get an emotional moment here, with Goku beating past the fetish monster, and finally remembering he can use blue, and rushing to Roshi's side. We get a full minute of Krillin trying to jump back in the ring, Goku trying to do key-based CPR on Roshi's body, the tears flowing, the music swelling, and then just when we think the old man's dead for good, where'd the young angels go? Where the bitches at? I swear I almost cried. Unless Roshi was goofing, which I'd like to think he wasn't. The guy was actually dead, and Goku had to live with the fact that, for even just a minute, he'd gotten one of his closest friends and his sensei killed. It's all his fault, because he's the one who made this tournament be a thing. It's something that I don't think Goku has even considered once this whole time, and I hope it does something to him as we continue on. But, let's be completely honest, probably won't. Just what an amazing goddamn episode. Almost perfect, and I hope we get more of this. Stuff like this is the reason I watch Dragon Ball, for feels and for fun. Not to watch Goku rub his fight boner. And I also kind of want to see the Omni Kings address what would have happened to Universe 4 if Roshi had actually died, because Ganos is responsible for his death at that point. So would Universe 4 just be disqualified and erased? That'd be something cool to see what happens when a universe breaks the rules. Hey there everybody, thank you for watching this Staring At for Dragon Ball Super Episode 105. What did you think? Did you think they were going to keep Roshi dead forever? Did you even think Roshi was going to stay in the tournament? Let me know down there in the comments, and let me know what you think is going to happen as the arc goes on. A special thank you to my patrons who are on the screen right now. Thank you for watching, remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. But most importantly of all, I will see you around the room.